All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And welcome to a Friday show. My God, folks, please, if you would, take your seats. My goodness. The Friday recorded audience, my favorite. And Albert is here.
Kim, how are you?
Is here. I'm telling you, kids,
Albert, thank you.
There's a lot going on. We've got some big breaking news just broke in the last 90 seconds. And we'll share that with you in a moment. It's good news for the American pilot. It was more than one. It was a crew, wasn't it? Was it, Kim, the latest on the fighter jet that was downed in Iran? Is that right? Kim,
yes, there was a search and rescue operation that was underway after a fighter jet was downed over Iran, and it looks like a crew member, at least one, has been rescued.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know if it was when you said the crew. I thought maybe it implied more than one.
A crew member, yeah.
A crew member, really? Okay. All right. Would you like to apologize? Because you first said the crew was,
Oh.
I don't mean to put too much pressure on.
I blame you.
All right. Maybe it's my fault for having, all right. Look, the point is not who to blame here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. The point is we have quite a show, much to get to, and much to update. There have been huge changes at the Pentagon, as you know. Pete Hegseth, fresh off a bender, can come in and shake things up. And that's kind of the way it looks, as though he has behaved there as DOD shakeups continue. We'll get to that. We'll get to what might be behind it. The Pam Bondi reaction has been swift. As I told you yesterday, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one to make this point, that one may have a moment rejoicing in this stooge, Pam Bondi, being forced from her position at the Department of Justice, but she'll be replaced by another stooge, maybe even a better stooge in terms of acceding to the wishes of a president who really demands revenge through the Justice Department, through the government, on his perceived political enemies. So, Todd Blanche, as I, again, mentioned to you before, I think is kind of a smooth operator and is probably better under fire than Pam Bondi. One of the problems with Pam Bondi was she totally booted the Epstein thing, right? And she made a bunch of promises. The stuff's on my desk. I'm looking through it now. Then when she got into a congressional oversight hearing, she collapsed. She couldn't stop talking about, 401ks and
Americans'
the 50,000.
401ks and retirement savings are booming.
They're asking her about Epstein files, and she's talking about the Dow.
The Dow has shattered 50,000.
And so the point is that all began to obscure any affections that Donald Trump had for her initially, and then ultimately he sacked her. I was reading some pretty detailed accounts of the fact that she scrambled to try to keep the job. She was really trying to keep the gig. Even in the last day, she was riding, remember, to the Supreme Court with him to attend those oral arguments on the case that he'll likely lose, the birthright citizenship case. And apparently during that trip, she was really, doing a major bit of ingratiating herself to Trump further. I mean, she was a total lapdog to him. But ultimately, she couldn't do what he wanted to get done, and no one will be able to do what he wants to get done because he wants them to do things that cannot be done. So good luck to whoever replaces her. But we'll get more from Michael Shure and Mo Kelly as we have them join in about a half hour. Also, Friday Fabulous Florida today. I want to update the Iran situation. I will give you more on Todd Blanche because he's likely, I'll just say he's the interim attorney general, and he's I would say likely to replace Pam Bondi, but we'll see. In any case, he will replace her now. He's in the post right now. So I've got some good stuff from Blanche, and we'll get into that and more on the Iran war. Before I go into any further heavy stuff, I like to give, especially on a Friday, we like to give the boys and girls something, Albert, that is a little bit different. And a little. I wonder if you could update for everyone, Albert, the situation with
Mark's Madness.
Mark's Madness. The way Mark's Madness works, it's not March Madness, it's Mark's Madness. March Madness is basketball. Mark's Madness, we play sound drops off against each other. The whole thing went down on YouTube yesterday, right, Albert?
Yeah, so you filled out your brackets, and then you went to YouTube to vote on the drops included in your brackets, and I have results for the Final Four. Now,
before we get to the results, Albert, the commissioner's office, and you are the commissioner, in some controversy yesterday, and Kim McAllister actually is our reporter on that. Kim, could you report on the controversy regarding Mark's Madness and the technical issues apparently that were...
Kim, how are you?
Yeah,
I was looking at the fan discussion, Mark Thompson Show fan discussion page, and it looked like a lot of people couldn't quite figure out how to log in, how to make it work.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Well,
how does the internet work?
What...
Might have lost some players over this. I don't know.
But actually, I was impressed, because I did see this also. I was impressed that Albert, the commissioner, actually went in to the Facebook page.
He did, and tried to explain it.
it. How did that go, Albert?
Pretty well, with good results. So I did see those names in the brackets, and they've somehow figured it out. So next year, maybe I'll post a little earlier, maybe help some people on that fan discussion page, but we'll also refer to our Facebook page too for all news on the Mark's Madness.
And a shout out to my favorite McAllister, Lucy McAllister. She just became a YouTube member.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to you. Thank you. My shadow cabinet grows, and the deep staters grow in number. We'll have more regarding that later. Now, right back to Mark's Madness. Albert, what were the results of the Elite Eight, and who will be the Final Four? Tell us how the voting went, please.
I'll show you the voting, and then we could obviously we'll get the Final Four from there. But yeah, we had Trump kissing A that moved on.
Wow,
they are kissing my ass.
That beat out Saudi cash. The Saudi cash drop. I kind of like that, but
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
Well, there goes my bracket. I had Saudi cash to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, kissing at Trump.
They are kissing my ass.
That one 69% to 31%. All right. Next was the Bondi drops.
Yeah, this one is a runaway. Not even close.
Bondi ridiculous.
This is so ridiculous.
That beats Bondi. Are you kidding?
What does a Dow have to do with anything? Are you kidding?
Bondi kidding. Lost. Only 7% went for that. Bondi ridiculous.
This is so ridiculous.
That won overwhelmingly.
We have another Bondi here that moved on as well.
Oh, yeah. This was Dow 50,000, which is...
The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time.
I'm laughing because I just feel like I've heard that so many times. That beat out the 401k is booming. Okay, and then... and
to round it out is acetaminophen with...
acetaminophen, nothing in our history?
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
That was close. That got 41% of the vote. But ultimately...
that was the closest matchup.
Yeah, but the acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen.
Yeah, that beat that out. Okay. I don't know. The world is coming to an end. It's fun to do something different. All right. How does this work now, Commish?
So we do have 13 brackets that are perfect, but yeah, this is what the perfect bracket does look like.
13 brackets remain. So many were 3-1. I was 3-1. But here are the 13 brackets. Heidi and Tracy and Linda and George Daniel Ray, SF House Music. Joel and Bob, Chris, Jim Slayton, Karen Smith, Noe Marie. I'm loving it. Congratulations on a perfect bracket. Yep. We made it easier this year, but still lost a lot of people.
Yeah, over half of the brackets were imperfect, so... Shout out these 13 people. Voting again will begin for the Final Four whole weekend. That'll begin at 5 o'clock starting today.
Okay. And again, that's 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. You'll be able to vote. And the voting is on YouTube. Go to
on
our channel.
YouTube channel, yep, on the posts tab, you could vote there. Or if you're subscribed to us, which is, that is a free thing to do, that'll happen to show up in your subscription box.
Here is a question, Commissioner, from Cameo. What if there are 13 winners? Well, I think all 13 will share.
Nothing.
Exactly. We'll share that. You'll share the brag. But the lucky 13, thank you, Shadow Producer Calvin Wong. All right, so that's the situation with Mark's Madness. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate
The Mark
that.
Thompson Show.
All right, Reb P says, what a disaster, F-15 down, pilot missing, Trump looking worse than the Carter's worst days. Yes and no, I'd agree, this is horrible. But the latest is that the pilot has been rescued. Go ahead, Kim.
According to a U.S. official, it does appear that this F-15E, it's often known as a Strike Eagle, that it was shot down by Iran. It's deep inside of Iranian territory. The two pilots are believed to have ejected from that aircraft. And as you mentioned, we now know, according to a U.S. official, that at least one of those individuals has been recovered alive. We don't know anything else about that person's condition. Search and rescue efforts remain underway right now. Now, what's standard in a case like this, the U.S. has gone to war in Iran. In advance of a big military action like this, the U.S. would generally put forward in the region something known as a personnel recovery team. In this case, most likely, just given the operational tempo and the size of this war, they would have put multiple personnel recovery teams. And they are on a constant standby while the U.S. is flying any kind of combat missions like this, so that if there is something that happens where U.S. Service members go down essentially behind enemy lines, they can respond immediately to go in and try to find those individuals. Now, this is the first time that we know about that a manned aircraft has gone down inside Iran as part of this war. And it's significant, Yasmin. And that is because it dispels this idea that the U.S. has complete and total autonomy or control over the airspace over Iran right now. While they may have largely control over it, that doesn't mean that it is not a dangerous mission for U.S. men and women who are flying over there. There are hundreds of targets that they are still striking every single day, that is manned and unmanned. But we know that in recent days, the U.S. has really upped the number of bomber runs. So obviously manned bomber fighters, aircraft that have been flying over Iran. It still remains an extremely dangerous mission for them, Yaz.
Yeah, it's a good point. We have heard repeatedly.
Well, there you have it. Good news in that at least one of those two pilots have been rescued. This is a question, what is the cost for an F-15? Yeah, obviously we all hope, I sure hope they found the second pilot, says Tammy. Obi-Wan is asking what the cost of one of those jets. Well, that's a good question. I mean, I know the answer if you want to know it, but I'd love to be curious what, again, the human on board is the important thing.
I do have an answer as well.
Oh, I wonder if my answer matches your answer. What is the cost of an F-15 jet? One of those that was just destroyed and went down over Iran. Again, the pilot is the most important part of things, the human being attached. But what is the cost of an F-15 fighter jet? Any guesses? 15 million, I'm saying, Glenn? 15 telemeter. 100 million, says Johnny Handyman. 20 million, 97 million, says Dillette. Dillette, very specific, 97 million. Makes me think you may have gone to Mr. Google on that, Dillette. But by the way,
Google it.
That is right.
I mean, Dillette, that's like a producer level of quickness on the Google.
Yeah, it felt very googly. Most of these questions we do not encourage Googling, but Dillette is another level of OG, so we do applaud her.
It also costs about $18,000 to $27,000 in operating costs per hour. So that's
that's wild.
On top of how much the thing costs just to get it up and running is very.
This war is an incredibly expensive thing, and just in that spirit, I'll talk about the request for military budget levels that are insane. I mean, just absolutely insane. I'll get to the Hegseth shakeup, but just because we're talking about money and the request. It's $1.5 trillion. That is going to be the request for the military budget. Where is it, Kim? Do I have it in here? I'm looking for the story. You have it in here somewhere or not? No?
Are you talking about the daycare story?
No. I'm talking about the new request for it's $1.5 trillion. Do you have it? No, you don't have it. I would have thought you'd have it, Kim.
Kim,
but,
how are you?
I don't know. It's a huge. Trump has requested $1.5 trillion for the Department of Defense. This is a new budget request. Now, again, how would you pay for it is something that is being asked. And anybody want to guess how they want to pay for it?
By cutting daycare?
They want to cut social programs. With the United States at war with Iran, embroiled in conflicts around the world, the White House asking Congress today to approve about $1.5 trillion for defense in the 2027 fiscal year. If enacted, this is something you certainly don't need to have told to you, but I'll finish the sentence. The amount would set military spending at its highest level in modern history. The request, which arrived as part of President Trump's new budget, would amount to a roughly 40% increase from what the U.S. spent on the Pentagon this fiscal year. And spending on the Pentagon is already galactically huge. It is an abomination that we spend this much money on defense, I think. I mean, it's the old line. Don't tell me your priorities as a society. Show me your budget, and I'll tell you your priorities as a society. And we really have clearly put the military as job one in getting things done in America, meaning we have sufficiently made the argument that we're so worried about our own defense that we can overshoot the amount that would in any way be reasonable. It is a fiscal blueprint that could add trillions of dollars to the brimming federal debt if Congress opts to translate the president's full vision into law without other changes to the nation's balance sheet. All of this would happen to $1.5 trillion, and dramatic spending cuts would have to follow. This year, Trump urged Congress to approve most of the new defense money. That was more than $1 trillion, $1.1 trillion. And in the days before releasing his plan, the president and his aides framed the proposed increase for defense in urgent terms, citing a need to restock munitions and other supplies. At one point, Trump indicating at a private lunch that the military spending needed to be a national priority, even at the expense of federal safety net programs and other government aid. Quote, "It's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all of these individual things. They can do it on a state basis," he said. The focus has to be military protection. We have that cut. Let me hear the president actually say that, please, Albert.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection.
You get nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it to me, that reveals a view of government that is so perverse, so as to clearly say, we're not here to take care of our people. We're here to protect this thing, America. And you can say, well, isn't Mark, isn't America the people? Yeah, America is the people. But it's not just missiles from outside that we need to worry about. It's not just military incursions to America that we need to worry about. We need to worry about nurturing the people who live here so that America becomes a place that achieves its potential. You need to give people a chance. These programs are a drop in the bucket. You need a healthy population. You need an educated population. You need a population not exposed to environmental toxins everywhere. And these defense contractors, you know, you talked about this, and I've detailed even all the ways in which a lot of this money never leaves the Beltway. It's defense contractors and government shifting billions of dollars to each other. It's an outrage. And now you see the power of the Iranian drone program, which operates at a fraction of what the American military budget is. You see the power of that program to actually hold its own and do damage and repel a military that's far greater and far more powerful. So these numbers should be rethought. And these huge assets, battleships and $100 million fighter jets, they have to be rethought as assets that can be tactically deployed, but they shouldn't be the center and focus, perhaps, of your military strategy. It would seem to be a flawed strategy. But when you have the President of the United States saying, hey, we can't pay for daycare, we can't pay for Medicare, what's next? Social Security? They're talking about it. $1.5 trillion in defense spending. Meantime, the situation in the war is one that is progressing at a pretty brutal rate, with now the Americans taking the first big hit, losing that F-15, perhaps losing one of the fighters on board, rescuing another with that jet downed, and having destroyed a bridge, a critical bridge that was just, I think, close to completion. Based on what I'm seeing, it wasn't completed, but it was one of the biggest bridges in Iran, cut 8. This bridge destroyed, and the president himself posting video of the destruction on his social media site.
This just in, President Trump issuing a powerful warning shot to the Iranian terror regime moments ago alongside a video. Here's what he said. The biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. Much more to follow. It is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late and there is nothing left of what still could become a great country. Laura, we're about to see the video here. You see the biggest bridge in Iran. Look at that.
Yeah.
Just tumbling. What a warning.
Well, by the way, this has been something that we've never seen before. The way the president has used videos, footage from all of these different attacks that the United States has done, there in Iran, I think has actually been really powerful. I don't ever remember another president doing this, but when you see that, you see the might of the United States military. You see the consequences of not coming to the table, and you see, the ultimate destruction of a country that is just going to continue. I actually think it's been really impressive to see how the president has continued to send warnings and continued to post videos like this. I think it's pretty masterful.
Yeah, that's Laura Trump. It's no wonder that she thinks it's masterful. It is the new propaganda, of course, these kinds of releases of video that show military might in that way. But, to be fair, that's a real thing that happened, and it's a way in which tactical strikes are affecting life in Iran. That goes without saying. But it looks as though roughly half of Iran's missile launching and drone capabilities are still intact, despite the fact that we keep hearing about the fact that we've decimated them, our objectives are close to completion, they have no air defense, yet, of course, they've shot down an F-15 fighter jet just today. Iran, according to CNN, citing 3 sources familiar with recent U.S. intelligence assessments, has significant missile launching and drone capabilities intact, about 50%. Although Trump administration officials have made claims about the degree of destruction that the U.S. and Israeli airstrikes have wrought, the report offering more context for the state of Iran's military arsenal. According to the sources, roughly half of Iran's missile launchers and thousands of one-way attack drones remain intact. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said the report is completely wrong. The White House also with its own take. Anonymous sources, this is a quote, desperately want to attack President Trump and demean the incredible work of our United States military in achieving the goals of Operation Epic Fury. Here are the facts. Iranian ballistic missile and drone attacks are down 90%. Their Navy is wiped out. 2/3 of their production facilities are damaged or destroyed. And the United States and Israel have overwhelming air dominance over Iran. So, you tell me what you believe. The rationale for the Iran war is questioned when Donald Trump starts saying things like, I don't care about the regime's uranium stockpiles. His apparent decision to leave highly enriched uranium in the hands of the regime creates, many are saying, a more risky scenario than before this whole thing started. He has said he does not care about Iran's stock of highly enriched uranium. He says it was deep underground and could be monitored by satellite. You heard him in his public remarks during that speech. I mean, one of the key justifications for this entire thing from Trump was to denuclearize Iran. Experts saying that if the U.S.-Israeli offensive against Iran concluded with the Tehran government still in control of its stockpile, it would actually be significantly closer to the capability of making nuclear warheads than if the U.S. had pursued a potential negotiated settlement that was on the table at the time of the U.S.-Israeli military strike. On February 28th, they were actually crafting a negotiated agreement. By the way, in some ways, it might have been better than the Obama agreement. And the Obama agreement was good. Trump tore up the Obama agreement because, it was from Barack Hussein Obama. So, scrambling, on February 28th, there really was a negotiated agreement close to the finish line with both Kushner and Witkoff. Again, crazy that these guys who are real estate moguls were doing this. But that's who, the imperfect team sent to do it was headed by. And yet, a day later, Americans opened fire. So from an Iranian standpoint, it's like, guys, you were never serious about this anyways, it turns out. This whole thing was a decoy. You have us sitting down to a negotiation, and you're having every intention of opening fire the next day. But more to the point on the nuclear stuff, and we had a nuclear deal that would have really denuclearized, essentially, the Iranian regime. But now Trump is saying, and he said this in his address to the nation, if we see them make a move, even a move for it, we will hit them with missiles very hard again. We will monitor it by satellite. You begin to see the absurdity of this entire thing. So the world economy, the American economy, and America's reputation, not to mention alliances and, if you will, the world order, is completely turned on its side now for goals that, A, were shifting, and B, apparently weren't even such a priority that you maintain them as you try to get this whole thing wrapped up. Clearly, Trump just wants to back out. Trump is losing support from core supporters. His approval dropping to a record low in new polling. Latest survey showing Trump's net approval rating sinking to minus 23 points. 35% of Americans approving, 58% disapproving of Trump's handling of the war? No. The economy? No. The presidency. He's lost a lot of MAGA. Independent voters, I think, have left the building on him. He's lost the Latino community, and I could never even understand that to begin with. And I think he's going to lose farmers and a lot of the nation's midsection, which was in support of him. Raising prices for gas, raising prices for fertilizer, raising for anything fuel-related is going to be affected as well, and that's the entire world economy. So all of this is happening. I'll get to the Hegseth shakeup and more as we bring the guys in. But that is the latest on the war and on the shifting priorities of America as we shove across the table the new demand for $1.5 trillion for the Department of Defense. So.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Those who are, appreciate you. You can smash the like button. It costs you nothing.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Yeah, do it with your iron rod, of course. And also smash the subscription button and the notification bell.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Right. You'll know whenever there's a new video. We are Patreon and PayPal supported. So there are links to that as well under the videos, all of them, if you want to support our effort. Yes, I want to, before I get to Mo Kelly and Michael Shure, I want to get to the Sweet 106 Bakery people. They are our delicious sponsors and partners. Sweet 106, if you're just listening, maybe on iHeartRadio or on Spotify, it's sweet spelled yes, S-U-I-T-E. So it's like a suite of rooms. Sweet 106 Bakery is where they started, Sweet 106, and they are remarkable in the way in which this small business maintains its smallness, but also increases these wonderful options you have for orders. Layered cupcakes that come to you in these containers. You can eat them out with a spoon. You can put them in the microwave for, a quick 15-second pop, and it gives it kind of a melted thing.
I put them in the freezer and I eat them frozen.
So. Oh, wow. I mean, and she's, Christy, who's won Cupcake Wars twice, she's the one who created this. She has blessed all of this stuff that we do. She's blessed the freezer. She's blessed the microwave. So get out the layered cupcakes, 3.5 cupcakes in each, the equivalent, and then a 1.5 in the mini layered cupcakes. So that's the latest product. Yeah, the mini spoon.
How the kind of, there's a cliche when you have a bad breakup, your best friend brings you ice cream and you eat a pint of ice cream as you watch Outlander or whatever rom-com. No, the new normal is you eat a pint of cupcakes. That's the new normal.
You definitely have trouble putting it down, yeah. I'll tell you that. Sweet106bakery.com is where you order it, and use our discount code MARKT. You'll get 15% off. 15% off at sweet106bakery.com. Use our discount code MARKT. Sweet106bakery.com.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Love this guy in on Fridays. He gives us his clean takes and clear takes on so much that's going on. The brilliant Mo Kelly, everyone. Hi, Mo. I think Michael Shure is joining, but we don't know. He is like Mariah Carey. Sometimes, he shows up, and sometimes he shows up 2 hours late. He's the diva in our crew. But, Mo, I appreciate you being here. And we're going.
This is so ridiculous.
It really is. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start with something that just happened in the last day. And it's the Pete Hegseth firings. And play me cut 10, Albert, if you would, to sort of set the table on where we are with Pete Hegseth and the latest dismissals there at the Department of Defense.
Has fired Army Chief of Staff General Randy George, 2 other top generals. The latest of more than a dozen generals and admirals removed over the last year. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz has the story. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. Pete Hegseth has fired many senior officers since becoming secretary, but these firings, including the chief of staff of the Army, come in the middle of a war where thousands of Army troops have been dispatched to the Middle East. Randy George, the Army chief of staff, is a decorated Army general, but he was formerly a senior aide to Joe Biden's Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, and it was long rumored Hegseth would let him go. Hegseth made it official with a statement saying Randy George will be retiring effective immediately. In addition, Hegseth asked the general in charge of the Chaplain Corps, William Green, and four-star General David Hodne, who has had a long and exemplary career in the military, leaving many of those he mentored in shock this morning. Hegseth has fired more than a dozen generals and admirals since he took over as secretary, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General C.Q. Brown. General Christopher Leneve, now the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, will take over for General George until a permanent replacement is nominated. Leneve is very close to Hegseth. George?
So that is where we sit, Mo. And Hegseth is a central figure, obviously, because America is at war in Iran. And even as was noted here, these changes are being made during wartime, you know. Now, I'm not saying necessarily these people were, from an operational standpoint, involved in the war, but still, it takes Hegseth, who's already at center stage, and it brings a little more scrutiny to the way he's running things.
Well, beyond the scrutiny, let me just ask a philosophical question to answer your legitimate and actual question. If I were Vladimir Putin, if I were Ayatollah Khamenei, what would I do differently if the goal were to diminish the institutional knowledge, the defensive capabilities, the strategic awareness of the United States? You would get rid of military leadership. No, I'm not talking about assassinations, but you're removing that institutional knowledge and that strategic wisdom and command control wisdom from the equation. This in no way helps the United States. I don't know anything about the personal politics of the generals who were fired. I can tell you who they were appointed by, but I have no reason to question their professional acumen. I have no reason to question the competency. I have every reason to question the competency of Pete Hegseth. I have every reason to question the motivation of Pete Hegseth. And I have every reason to question whether this in some way makes us more susceptible to more losses because of these changes.
Yeah, and to your point, the world, if you will, the reporters, the political institutions in Washington, I'm talking about journalists and political parties, are all looking at this, and the military itself as an institution, I'd suggest, is looking at this and looking askance at it. I mean, Hegseth here from reporting has taken steps to block or delay promotions for more than a dozen black and female senior officers across all four branches of the military, some of whom are seen as having been targeted because of their race, gender, or perceived affiliation with Biden administration policies or officials. This is according to 9 U.S. officials familiar with the process. That's why I mentioned the institutions within Washington, even the Pentagon itself. There is all of this rumbling around, which only adds to what he perceives as more betrayal and even more dismissals. The process within the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marines, continuing here, is structured to ensure the most qualified officers get promoted. Hegseth's decision to intervene in that process has raised concerns among some officials within the military and the White House and the 9 U.S. officials familiar with the situation that things are no longer proceeding in that manner. There is not a single service that has been immune to this level of involvement by Hegseth. Go ahead, Mo.
No, the question then becomes, when does the concern rise to the level of intervention? When do the private conversations become public calamity? And I can respect how those who are going about the dutifulness of their jobs, going about their duties, and not necessarily causing or calling undue attention to the internal machinations or dissension within the ranks, as it were, no pun intended. But I do question how long this can proceed as it is, and there not be some sort of tipping point where our military leaders start to go public. because we know that there is an internal struggle. We know that there's an internal problem, but how long before that internal problem becomes external?
The interesting part of that is associated with the way the government can clap back. I mean, a lot of these guys have, as you're aware, retirement packages, and even as they're forced into retirement, they depend on that retirement package on some level. And so you find, I think, and also there's sort of that military regimentation that keeps everybody quiet about criticism and that sort of thing. But that said, you're right. I mean, at some point, the chorus is sort of building with pressure. And you have this guy Hegseth who declared the end to woke culture at the Department of Defense, criticized DEI. He has publicly accused the military of awarding promotions based on diversity instead of merit. And, to be fair, Randy George, this guy who is this fired Army Chief of Staff, he asked to meet with Hegseth to discuss the blocking of these promotions for some of these Army officers, which seem to focus on women and black men. Hegseth refused to meet with him, wouldn't discuss the decision. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he's gone. So that's the situation at the Department of Defense, and now to the war, which the Department of Defense, of course, is very much involved with. Donald Trump addressed the nation this week, Mo, and play for Mo, if you would, please, Albert, the cut 11, which speaks to the fact that we've really pretty much achieved our objectives. They're close to completion.
We'll continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. In the meantime, discussions are ongoing. Regime change was not our goal. We never said regime change, but regime change has occurred because of all of their original leaders' death. They're all dead. The new group is less radical and much more reasonable. Yet if during this period of time no deal is made, we have our eyes on key targets. If there is no deal, we are going to hit each and every one of their electric generating plants very hard and probably simultaneously. We have not hit their oil, even though that's the easiest target of all, because it would not give them even a small chance of survival or rebuilding. But we could hit it, and it would be gone, and there's not a thing they could do about it. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force. The nuclear sites that we obliterated with the B-2 bombers have been hit so hard that it would take months to get near the nuclear dust, and we have it under intense satellite surveillance and control. If we see them make a move, even a move for it, we'll hit them with missiles very hard again. We have all the cards, they have none. It's very important that we keep this conflict in perspective. American involvement in World War I lasted 1 year, 7 months, and 5 days. World War II lasted for 3 years, 8 months, and 25 days. The Korean War lasted for 3 years, 1 month, and 2 days. The Vietnam War lasted for 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days. Iraq went on for 8 years, 8 months, and 28 days. We are in this military operation, so powerful, so brilliant, against one of the most powerful countries for 32 days. And the country has been eviscerated.
Okay, that's good. So, boy, really, now I feel a lot better about it. Look at all the living we're packing into just 32 days. And I guess that's technology. Welcome, Michael Shure, as well. I want to quickly get to what your thoughts are overall, but let me just focus on a piece of verbiage, if I can, which is, we're bombing them back into the Stone Age where they belong. It's the kind of thing that would be said maybe privately in some, testosterone-filled military conversation, but I don't know that I've ever even imagined a president saying that, especially when you're trying to negotiate with them. I mean, it would seem to would disrespect their, in the Stone Age, where they belong, kind of disrespects even their culture. You know what I mean, Mo?
Well, there are a couple things there. If you want to say Stone Age, you're talking about 4,000 years BC. You're talking about Stone Age. You are decapitating not only the military leadership, but also the cultural and societal infrastructure. You're talking about a country of 91 million people. You can't, on one hand, at the start of this 32-day war, saying the people should come together and rise up, while also talking about bombing civilian infrastructure simultaneously. You can't talk about making a deal with the quote-unquote new regime, which is a bunch of BS, and while simultaneously bombing them. He wants to cite all those previous wars, but in each and every one of those examples, there was a clear and agreed upon ceasefire. So you had a period of true negotiation. Since we have not had a period of ceasefire, it is fair for me and you and everyone watching this show to believe that there is no real negotiation going on. And when you have the president talking about how we've somehow destroyed all their anti-aircraft capability, and today we're talking about one of the F-15s being down and one pilot still missing, obviously there is a disconnect between the reality of what's happening on the ground and what this president is telling us. And when I was hearing the president's message, I listened to it because I was in the car, so I got to hear it before I had to see it. I got to hear how labored his breathing was, how difficult it was for him to even push out the information. I don't believe for a second that things are going as well militarily or even in a media sense that he would like to convey to us.
Yeah, you know, it's just on that point, the point that clearly there's some ability of Iran's military to take down the F-15 fighter. According to reporting from CNN, I was mentioning this before, roughly half of Iran's missile launching and drone capability is still intact, Michael Shure. So we're hearing stuff from the president that doesn't seem to conform to reality. Maybe that's the way it is in times of war. But he's also, it would seem, taking baby steps back from this, although I don't know that you can.
Yeah, it's so weird hearing something from the president that doesn't conform to reality. I'm just like trying to wrap my arms around it for the first time. But you're right, Mark. And that is sort of like the way that war is reported in the modern era anyways. There's so much information, sources on the ground, sources in different places. That's what's changed in warfare as well. And so what the president is saying, whether it's propaganda, whether a lot of it is true, we don't know. And yes, there are capabilities. Has their capability quotient been decimated? Yeah, I'm sure it has been, but they have not gone after everything, and we don't know where everything is either. And that's part of this to begin with. The likening of this to the world wars that he cited, to other battles. I mean, let's just talk about World War I and World War II. To compare them, it made me think when I heard him say that he wants to be the author of World War III in a way. He wants to be talked about in history, which is not surprising with Donald Trump. But at the same time, those were wars about alliances. He's alone, with the exception of Israel. He is alone in this war. He is alone in even trying to muster allies in the neighborhood of where this is happening, people who are affected by the Strait of Hormuz, who are not participating in fixing the problem that's been created from this war. So it's very, very different from the from what the precedent was set then. It's nothing like Wilson. It's nothing like Roosevelt, though I'm sure both of those presidents were able to speak to professional golfers who got into car accidents at the time, in the middle of having a war go on. But truthfully, that's what it is. I mean, we're at a point where we have a president we can't believe, while at the same time knowing that nobody in the neighborhood wants to participate. This is nothing like there's ever been when in the war, certainly, that he's comparing it to.
Iran not mincing words in all their tweets back to Trump, says CC Ryder, who's a member. Thank you for the membership. Let me just actually go to that. Here's a post from Iran's Mohammad Ali Shabani. And this is cut 7, by the way, Albert. There you go. increasing signs that Iran intends to formalize control of the Strait of Hormuz with a view to collecting tolls as effective war reparations. Such a setup could appeal to Trump, provided that Iran permits U.S. ships to pass. Omanis would also benefit. It's interesting reporting because it is true that all of a sudden there might be a way to float Trump's boat, to wet Trump's beak. And the idea that the Iranians would have gained the upper hand in the Strait of Hormuz to the point that they could actually create a toll system is one point, and that they could also somehow calibrate a way to fold in the Americans so that either they'd get passage through or there'd be a way for Trump himself to somehow benefit because he is corrupt, is yet another element at play here, Mo.
Yeah, there's always a financial transactional element to all of this. I mean, if anything, he is both now a transactional and transformational president for reasons which are neither positive. But yes, he is going to monetize this. But the flip side is that Iran is monetizing this. Russia is monetizing this. China is monetizing this. And so the president is not necessarily concerned with our allies and he's not concerned with our adversaries monetizing this. He's only concerned with whether he monetizes this. And if our adversaries also monetize this, he's okay with that. And there's something else which has not been, I think, given enough attention. You have this president who supposedly should be singularly focused on this war, but he's also offering these executive actions on the NC2A, ICE and DHS. He's the voting. He's all over the place. He has no focus at all on the task at hand. And I think this also presents an opportunity for Iran and any other bad actor to hit us because we're not as a country paying attention in any of these other avenues. And let's not forget, since we haven't completely funded DHS, we are still diminished in our defensive capacity as far as defending the homeland. I mean, the whole idea of having DHS, which came out of 9/11 in 2003, is basically missing in action.
Michael, it's true. He's all over the road.
He is, but I mean, presidenting is hard, and I mean that irrespective of the fact that Trump is the president right now. You are pulled in many directions when you're the president. The question is, when you are pulled in that direction, are you the person that you want dealing with, whether it is the funding of DHS, the waging of a war, or, deciding that the NCAA is something that you want to talk about? I mean, presidents do get pulled in many directions. It's how they do the job that they've been elected to do. And with what seriousness and everything that Mo said about the monetizing of this and how everything that is with this president is transactional. We saw it with the Bondi firing. We see it with every single senator. I mean, we have legislators with elections coming up this month, legislators who are being primaried in races that Trump had never even heard of in the state of Indiana because Indiana decided not to redistrict, right? So he's going after, there's a currency that goes back and forth with this White House. That currency is loyalty and fealty, which are two different real words, fealty to this president specifically. And I do think that he's not the right person to be doing this because he's an unserious man, and you don't want war happening under the guidance of an unserious person.
And then I'm going to leave the war and get to Bondi and Blanche. But on the war, play me cut 12, because the future of the Strait, as we were talking about, they may truly, the Iranians in control of the Strait, develop this toll system by which they could benefit and regain a kind of control that they hadn't had prior to the war. But go ahead. This is Trump himself talking about the Strait.
Countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. They must grab it and cherish it. They can do it easily. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on. So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy.
Yeah, the hard part is done. That's why we're bouncing. Mo?
The use of modifiers, talking about how this will be so easy, or, you know, it's done like it's never been done before, the superlatives. He's trying to sell a narrative that this is something that it's not. Yes, we know that every president is going to put a positive spin on a military effort or a war, but to Michael Shure's point, it's unserious, it's cartoonish, it's a caricature of what reality and war should be. And I've run out of words to adequately explain how unserious this man is, but we should not run out of words to talk about the seriousness of what these decisions being made now are going to mean for us and the rest of the world later on. For example, when you talk about bombing a country back to the Stone Age and destroying with it civilian infrastructure, I have not heard any real serious discussion of the some tens of millions potential refugees who will be coming out of Iran. We're talking about the Shia Muslims and the integration of them in either the Middle East or even Western society, how that's supposed to work. We often talk about bombing Iran, but we're not talking about how the people who are the Iranians who have to live there, whether they will turn into terrorists or some other faction or refugees, and how that's going to affect the world order going forward.
Yeah, you know, Michael, in Trump and Hegseth both, and I'm sure the people around him in this echo chamber, there's sort of a paper-thin understanding of that region. Mo's so right.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, he can't even say Hormuz, for God's sake. But yes, there's definitely a paper thin understanding of things international for Donald Trump when it doesn't have to do with business. Not to mention, you know, Mo talked about what would happen, you know, with those refugees. Also rebuilding that region, right? I mean, there's not a Marshall Plan. I mean, imagine who he would put in charge of rebuilding those things, right? It would be one of the Kushners. It would be Lindsey Graham. If you want to go in there and be serious about doing the things that he thinks should be done with Iran. He says, oh, the Iranian people are great. They've got misguided leadership, et cetera. I don't know that that's really, that he knows exactly what he's biting off there. And I don't think that he's going to get cooperation the way certainly Marshall did after the Second World War.
You know, just because we'll put the wrap on the war, I want to ask you about the new budget for the Defense Department. $1.5 trillion is what's being asked for. I mean, it's this galactic size. It's just incredible. It was incredible at half that, you know. But give me a word on that, Mo. I'm just stupefied by this number. $1.5 trillion on the Department of Defense.
Yes, and the grift and the corruption goes on, because whether or not he gets it, he'll probably get some portion of it. And that runs, I would say, parallel to the story of Pete Hegseth and his personal profiteering regarding defense contracts. All these things work together. And again, that's a part of the transactional aspect of it, and part of how the Trump administration and members of the Trump administration are war profiteering off of it. And so I'm still mad at America for putting this man back in power. I'm still mad at America for allowing the Republicans to have control of the House and the Senate and the Oval Office. I'm still mad at Ruth Bader Ginsburg for not stepping down and retiring while Barack Obama could have put someone else in her stead. Those are the things which has been the slow moving train, which has made all of this moment possible, and why it seems so unbelievable. So the 1.5 trillion does not surprise me at all. It's variations and continuations of a theme.
Michael, give me a thought on that.
Yeah, well, and you could also still be mad in a way at someone I like a lot and respect a lot, and that's Bernie Sanders for his half-throated support of Hillary Clinton after she won the primary there, because there were a lot of Democratic voters who didn't come along in 2016. He wasn't obligated to do it. He probably did it out of his own integrity, but it certainly didn't help the party. It didn't help the country. Is not doing that. So there's a lot of frustration with what we're dealing with now, and there's a lot of we have to wait it out. But what we're wading through right now, when you get a budget like this, and I'm more pessimistic than Mo. I think a lot of this is going to be passed. I think it's going to be pushed through in reconciliation. It's going to be the Republicans' last gasp at power and something to sell on the trail. But I think it's going to be a very difficult sell to a lot of Americans right now.
By the way, before I completely leave the Pentagon, just let me mention that Hegseth has lifted the ban on service members carrying personal firearms on base. And I'll mention as well that it also is the case in the last day or so that Pope Leo has criticized those who invoke God for war. Some Trump aides and Hegseth himself in those televised prayer sessions has actually referred to God and wrapped himself and the war effort in that prayer. And now the Pope Leo, criticizing that move and says that God does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war. Now on to Pam Bondi. She was doing everything the Trump administration asked her to do. A lot of it was a bridge too far as the legal system was concerned. She still gets bounced. Here's cut 5. Thanks, Albert.
Lindsay, sources say it was frustrations from the president on Bondi's cases against some of his political adversaries, as he felt that they were not moving fast enough. He was not seeing enough indictments or arrests. For instance, in the cases against the former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, those were dismissed after a U.S. attorney who brought charges against those two was found to be unlawfully appointed. There were no charges in cases against the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, nor California Senator Adam Schiff. And in a sign that Bondi was feeling this pressure, we know that she had talked to a U.S. attorney overseeing a case against the former CIA Director John Brennan and had questioned him in D.C. on why that case was not moving fast enough. And the president posted last September in a message directly at Bondi saying, quote, "We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility." As you mentioned, Todd Blanche will now serve as the interim attorney general. He is someone that has been elevated as a public face for the Department of Justice. But other names out there that could end up serving as the attorney general in the long term include EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, whose name has also been floated. He did not take questions during a public event about potentially becoming the next U.S. attorney general. And Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon has been floated online by many of Trump's allies as a potential successor. Bondi has said that the transition from her to Blanche will take up the next couple of weeks. So that does give the president.
That shouldn't be too hard. He's been number 2 at the Justice Department for a while. Here's her exit post, and then I want to hear what you guys have to say. Here's her exit post, as Pam Bondi's exit post said. Over the next month, I'll be working tirelessly to transition the Office of Attorney General to the amazing Todd Blanche before moving to an important private sector role I'm thrilled about, and where I will continue fighting for President Trump and this administration. Leading President Trump's historic and highly successful efforts to make America safer and more secure has been the honor of a lifetime and easily the most consequential first year of the Department of Justice in American history. Since February 2025, we have secured the lowest murder rate in 125 years, secured first-ever terrorism convictions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I remain eternally grateful for the trust that President Trump placed in me to make America safe again. Michael, thoughts about Bondi out? And it looks like Blanche, at least in the short term, in.
Yeah, but Blanche being in is, of course, short term. And there's some interesting ways of following the politics here, because there are people in the United States Senate. One of the most, compelling things that crossed my brain was thinking that maybe he appoints Ken Paxton, which is a way of getting John Cornyn nomination in Texas.
Wow.
as in the Senate race, because it gets him out of having to endorse, and it's a de facto endorsement if he makes him his AG. I'm not saying it would be good for the country, but Pam Bondi leaving doesn't mean you're just all of a sudden going to get one of the great legal minds that progressives want in there. You're going to get somebody a lot like Pam Bondi, but maybe who is maybe more effective. But I think that what you're seeing too is in the aftermath of the Bondi departure is very encouraging, which is everyone at the Justice Department being kind of happy about it. People who are off the record and on the record saying that this had to happen. The morale was so low. They cut so many jobs. She was not up to the job of AG. Hearing that now from, a conservative Justice Department is, I think, very interesting. And it tells you a little bit about why she was ineffective, and maybe Trump wanted to see that change as well. But the names that are being floated, I don't want anybody to be seduced into believing that they're going to be any better than Pam Bondi was.
Oh, the minute she left, I said on this show, ease up on the ding dong, the witch is dead, because, just like the Wizard of Oz, there's there's another witch coming. And it's true that, I don't mean to say witch because she's a woman. You get it. I want to be totally straight up about this, but I do think that it's clear. I mean, if you felt that Bondi wasn't doing your dirty work enough, then there's obviously going to be somebody who is cool trying to do your dirty work who will replace Pam Bondi. Anyway, go ahead, Mo.
What surprises me is that people have yet to finally understand, notwithstanding the people in this conversation, that it used to be people served at the pleasure of the president. Now they serve for the president's pleasure, meaning that this guy, Donald Trump, loves firing people. He loves humiliating people. And why there are those who keep lining up to give up good jobs to serve in the administration just to be humiliated at some later date, I will never understand. Pam Bondi was as obsequious, servile, and showed as much fealty as anyone ever could. And she laid herself prostrate over, in front of Congress for the world to see, and it wasn't enough. And there's still people lining up to have this same job. I don't understand it. And you see the humiliation train running over Bondi right now, as far as trying to delegitimize her service from people inside the White House, kicking her as she is walking out the door. And to Michael Shure's point, whoever comes behind her will be equally unfathomable and contemptible. So we shouldn't even concentrate on that. It's the fact that Donald Trump is not relenting in his desire to have his enemies successfully prosecuted. Pam Bondi, in my mind, was fired because she couldn't put Tish James away. She couldn't put James Comey away. She couldn't get Eric Swalwell indicted. And that's and she couldn't keep the negative Epstein email stuff from coming out on Donald Trump. And that's the reason why she's out the door. The next person who comes along may be a little bit better than Pam Bondi as far as those stated goals.
I do want to note obsequious, servile, fealty, prostrate, all used within about 8 seconds gets you a ding on this show. Now, I also wanted to play for both of you Todd Blanche. I know he's just a short-termer, perhaps, but he was at CPAC, which to me was incredible to begin with, that you'd have a high-level Justice Department official at CPAC. Play me a little bit of that, Albert. It's cut 3.
The people in this room, they're the ones that infected change. They're the ones that said, no, you had a man that was indicted 6 separate times, counting the superseding indictments. And yet this country said, no way. So that was the first glimmer of hope that we can be better. The other things that are happening, there is not a single man or woman at the Department of Justice who had anything to do with those prosecutions.
How many have been canned?
Over 200. Over 200 either left before we came in because they knew it was coming, or were fired, or took early retirement. They are no longer employed by this department.
So They cleaned house there, of course, the Justice Department, also at the FBI. He goes on to talk about the fact that they cleaned house at the FBI as well. But again, this is the conservative political activism that gathers annually at this conference. It's just astounding to see the way in which government has changed, in my judgment, kind of overnight. You know what I mean, Mo?
Well, did it really change? Did government change, or did the people running government change? Now, there was a time in which we had people who at least respected the degree of nonpartisanship or the spirit of nonpartisanship, where you might have had individual preferences. In other words, you'd have a James Comey who everyone knew was a Republican, but he did not act publicly in Republican interests. He was not out there politicking. There was a time in which we understood that people who worked for the DOJ didn't go to political conferences and hold pom-poms and cheerlead a certain party, but that thin veneer is gone. I don't know if the government changed as much as just the people that we've allowed into government has changed.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's just been so wholesale. I guess that's why it feels like such a body blow. They won't replace the jobs that she cut. Someone had to take the fall for this criminal regime, says Dwight Boxley. This administration and Trump are playing you. Bondi did what Trump wanted. She got rid of 3 million files. It really was the Epstein situation that on some level is spoken about in relation to Bondi's discharge. Now, that could be a couple of things. That could be her not handling the limelight of the Epstein files well, saying all the files are on my desk. There are no files. There's nothing there. That sort of changed. Or was it just that he wasn't happy that the files weren't completely dry cleaned of his name? I don't know. To what degree do you think it did factor in, Michael?
It's hard to say. I think it's to me, I don't think it really, I don't think this is about Epstein as much as it's about Comey and Tish James. And so I don't, it may have been a factor. It may have been something that annoyed him. I think it's been pretty clear from Trump advisors, even a former advisor I spoke to back then, who said to me that Trump knows that Epstein isn't going away, so he's trying to work around it. So I think he goes in thinking that, I'm not going to get rid of Epstein as this, but I can get rid of these people who are my enemies. And Todd Blanche at CPAC said that they're going to go after Alvin Bragg. So he's the perfect assistant coach to step in on an interim basis here, because he's going to go after the people that tried to prosecute Donald Trump, which is all that Trump really cares about. I think that it ends there.
These are wild times. I appreciate you guys stopping in and riding the buck and bronc with us. So look forward to it next week as well. And thank you both again, always, for being here. Mo Kelly, Michael Shure, everyone. See you guys.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
There is still stuff happening, still stuff to get to. If you are just getting here, cool. Welcome. It is Friday. We've covered a lot of heavy stuff. It is wild that Tiger Woods appears to have called President Trump after his rollover crash.
What do you do when you get pulled over?
Yeah.
I call the president.
I guess you call the biggest name you can get on your phone, and that's Donald Trump. Footage released by the sheriff's office in Martin County, Florida. This should have been part of Friday Fabulous Florida. Maybe it is. I haven't peeked at Friday Fabulous Florida yet. But
it did break last Friday, so that was a week ago. I thought about doing like a breaking news, but the stories were so good last week, I didn't want to touch it.
Footage released by the sheriff's office in Martin County, Florida, shows a deputy asking Woods, who is standing down the road, to hang down here with us. As the golfer walks back toward the camera, he can be heard saying, "Thank you so much. All right, you got it. Bye. Thank you," to someone on the phone. "Yeah," he says, "I was just talking to the president." Told that to the deputy after hanging up the phone. It was unclear whether Woods was referring to Trump. The audio of the call itself unavailable. White House not immediately returning requests for comment. He was arrested Tiger Woods, who's 50 years old, and charged with DUI in connection with that. But yeah, I'm with Kim. Like, you got to get the biggest name on the line. And
He's already setting up his pardon. No.
I guess
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I heard they're going for $1 million. So, Tiger's got a lot of cash. He could pay for a
Sure, that's right.
state charger, but
he could afford a pardon. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I think it's a state thing though. So I don't think that he'll, from a practical standpoint, I know, probably wouldn't be able to handle it. We've got Friday Fabulous Florida to come. I also didn't want to finish this Friday without addressing the mail.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah, the mail. You can reach us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Here's one for you. Hear me out on this. And who is this from, Kim? Did you?
Wes. This is from Wes.
Yeah, Wes.
Mm-hmm.
Wes writes, hear me out on this, Mark. Democrats are worried about the midterms and Trump and his, quote, friends finding ways to disenfranchise voters. Now, after the primaries are finished, if Democrats then registered themselves as Republicans, so they're Democrats during the primaries, but then they register themselves as Republicans, they could still vote Democrat in the general election. You just can't vote in the primaries. This way, you are masked from them targeting you to disable you from voting because you are, you see, registered as a Republican. They're not targeting Republicans.
Tricky.
Is this a crazy idea, he asks, or a way to fight the upcoming voter wars?
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Maybe I'm wacky, he says, but if they cheat to change the game, we can change the game without cheating. I would need more than I have on that. It's, yeah, I just don't know is the answer. I think this. I think if you did that in large enough numbers, it would create its own issues. But I also don't know. So, and I got this from Tony.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Hi, Mark, which is a fine way to start an email. He says, I'm concerned that maybe Pam Bondi's loved ones, assuming she has them, should keep her on a suicide watch.
What?
She's been divorced. I know, that's what I said.
What?
Yeah, okay. She's been divorced twice, and is in a long-term relationship. She has no children. Emotionally, Trump's dismissal of her must certainly be catastrophic.
Who is having that conversation?
All right, but he continues, by choice, Bondi prostrated herself before Congress on Trump's behalf, sacrificing her own self-respect and damaging her reputation beyond repair. Well,
the Dow has shattered 50,000.
But she became Trump's dark angel, and now Lucifer himself has spurned her. Wow, very strong.
You always roll the dice when you sell your soul to the devil. Will it work out?
I am telling you. This is, I can only imagine the torment she is going through now, he says. Best, Tony. Yeah. Well,
still thoughtful of Tony to consider Pam's feelings and how her well-being.
It is sweet, and I've not seen it from anyone else. I mean,
This is so ridiculous.
No, I'm just saying that he did right and is concerned. You know, the libs have concern all the time. I have more email, but I'm going to push it to Monday so we can luxuriate in it on Monday. Monday will be the finals of Mark's Madness, by the way. The tonic for all that ails you. As the news is grim.
Noe Marie, who's one of the perfect brackets.
She has a perfect bracket, Noe Marie, with a $5 super chat. She says, did anyone else screenshot their name on the perfect graphic shot so that they too can show their parents that they did amount to something?
How does the internet work?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great. Bracket. It was supposed to say bracket. I don't know. Oh, did she misspell it or something?
Yeah, for the graphic part.
I see on the graphic.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to
Noe
Noe Marie.
Resume worthy Noe. So just add that to the bottom.
Yeah.
Pretty. This perfect bracket into the final four.
I'm I'm impressed. I'll tell you that. I didn't make it. Kim didn't make it. Did you have a bracket this year, Michael Snyder, Culture Blaster?
You know, Mark, I love you like a cousin.
That
I have
means
to
no.
tolerate
Okay.
at an annual family gathering.
Yeah,
but,
I
have a busy
but this year's
week.
edition
Okay, thank
of
you.
Mark's Madness.
Let me
is-
mute you. I don't need to hear this. I don't need to hear it. I don't know. Okay. All right.
I
The
did
time
want
has
to include the Michael Snyder harp to go against the Coachella Valley Coffee harp, which is
we
a transition.
did talk about this, Michael, when we were trying to come up with the Elite Eight. We wanted your harp on which you enter to go up against the Coachella Valley. You enter on that harp. Okay?
Right, I do.
And this was the harp that we wanted to put up against you, which is the. And we wanted.
It's different.
Yeah, it would have been tough, huh, guys? Yeah.
I got to tell you, I didn't
Yeah.
participate this year specifically because of that. No, because it was nothing but Pam Bondi and Trump drops, except for that one outlier. If I hear either of their voices again, it's going to be too soon, except for I just love when you use Trump's voice going, "It's my favorite food" on Chunk of Trump.
Yeah, that is true.
It's the only
Yeah,
drop
that's a
of
good
his
one.
that I can tolerate for some reason.
Well, we adore you, even though you did spurn us on Mark's Madness.
Just this year. Just this
all
year.
right. Anyway, please wait, Culture Blaster, if you would, through what will be a return on Fridays. We brought this segment with us from the radio, where it was sort of, again, a palate cleanser for all the darkness and grimness of the world. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A Florida man and woman busted after allegedly having sex at a park in front of a family. Albert.
What?
That is really not cool, dude. I'll continue. It was Marathon, Florida, where a man and woman were arrested. Deputies say they engaged in lewd acts at a public park.
The image is hideous.
The Monroe County Sheriff's Office said that deputies were sent in around 8 o'clock in the evening after a report that a man and a woman were having sex in plain view.
Right
The
now
witnesses-
it's mating season, and they're hungry.
The witnesses were a family of 3.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Benjamin
not-
Andrew Fry, 35, and Christy Lynn Ruiz, 42, older woman. Both of Marathon, Florida, were identified as the suspects. Their actions were visible to people in the park at the time.
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Mhm,
I
yeah.
bet it felt exciting until they ended up in the back of the squad car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely changing the arithmetic. A Florida man doing 101 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone was trying, he said, to avoid an animal. He's a super speeder, according to the sheriff's office. It was
Wait,
1
how-
o'clock in the morning.
How fast?
101. Yeah.
Wow.
He went at an excessive rate of speed, according to arresting officers. And Gregory Dolcine, 32 there, his mugshot posted here. We have a tradition that goes back some years to rate everybody's mugshot. He's kind of an attractive dude. I think that's why he's pulling 8s and 9s. Anyway, and mugshots are not, necessarily the best photo shoot, He looks pretty good. Anyway, he told deputies when he was pulled over in this 55-mile-an-hour zone that he was, quote, speeding to avoid an animal in the roadway. Yeah, that's a week, I got to say, you got to go back.
It had to be a gazelle, right?
It's
If
a
that's
wild idea, but it just might work.
I think you'd have to workshop that excuse a little bit longer. Yeah. And finally, a Florida woman charged with felony criminal mischief, urinating on a property in 2 different Airbnbs.
She looks so innocent.
Nicola Keogh, 31, allegedly filming videos of herself urinating in these Airbnbs and then uploading them to an adult film site. She did it for money, of course. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
I can't believe this, Christine Milioti. How could you have done this? How could you undermine your career like this?
Oh, girl, baby girl. Don't even play.
She gets high marks in the chat, I have to say.
She is getting 9s and 10s in the booking photo.
I would date her in
evaluation.
an instant,
Yeah.
Mark. She's so cute.
A Florida woman has been arrested and charged after allegedly urinating on thousands of dollars worth of items in 2 separate Airbnb rentals. You'd be okay with that? You'd date
I don't
her
want her
anyway?
at my apartment, but other than that.
You really, I tell you, I've just lost respect for you.
I will say,
yeah.
it's one of the best mugshots I've ever seen. It doesn't even look like a mugshot.
It really is amazing.
It's her headshot, Mark. I'm telling
It's
you.
her headshot. The owner supposedly found these videos of a woman who was identified as Keogh urinating in the Airbnb that were these videos were uploaded to an adult content website, and there was a strong smell of urine in the home following her visit.
Oh.
And put 2 and 2 together. They checked videos and they found an antique Crown Royal chair, rug, typewriter, 4 dining room chairs, coffee maker, bed, TV, record player, toaster, and a partridge in a pear tree had been ruined per the police report. Ruined by urine. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of
I
hydration.
just don't-
She drinks her water.
That's a lot of damage.
They
You're right.
also spotted a bunch of half-eaten asparagus. That might explain the scent. I don't know.
guess, man. I just want to keep her mugshot up for the balance of the show because I think it's better than looking at my mug.
Yeah, this is like a historic mugshot. This is the best reactions I've ever gotten in the chat to a mugshot. So
Look at the smile on what. Put that back up there. What was it? What did they say? Look at that. Was funny.
Look
Whatever
at
it
the
was.
smile on her. Look at me. I'm peeing in the garden.
Thank you. All right, we got to pick a favorite. We don't want to, but we have to. It's in the bylaws of the show. I'll remind you what you've just heard. The Florida man and woman busted after allegedly having sex at a park in front of a family. The Florida man doing 101 miles an hour in a 55 zone was trying to, quote, avoid an animal. When he spoke to deputies, that was his excuse. And the Florida woman, 31, accused of peeing on and damaging more than $3,000 worth of property in multiple Airbnbs. We don't want to choose a favorite, as I said. I know they're all like your favorite children. Let's choose one, though. I'll ask you, Culture Blaster.
Well, when I heard about the couple, I thought, oh, it's just performance art. That's okay. But it's also quintessentially Florida, outdoor sex. It's that time of year. But good God, P-Girl is so damn cute.
Yeah.
And it's such an original crime. I mean, you don't really hear about this sort of stuff.
God.
So, yes, I'm big thumbs up for what somebody in the chat referred to as Gotta Go Girl, which I thought was
Gotta
kind
Go
of
Girl is very funny. Gotta Go Girl. I love that. Who wrote that?
John Slade.
John Slade. Very
Well
funny.
done,
Gotta go,
John.
girl.
How about you, Kim?
Gotta go, girl, for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It definitely feels like the P girl wins.
Hey, you're in luck, kiddo.
In the chat, that's the winner, huh, Albert?
yeah, it's overwhelming. It's a historic. I'm glad we had this moment. That was an awesome moment here for Friday Fabulous Florida. We're all respecting her hustle and her looks.
It may be time to book her on the show. That's all I'm saying, Albert.
What?
I mean, why don't you jump on that? Love
Might
to
just
hear
have
what.
Michael Snyder reach out for a contact.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Do it on a day that Snyder's not here because he'll be all over her.
Hey, come on now. I can
Love to
control
hear what
this.
the judge says to her, says Kevin. Yeah, exactly. That's Friday Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
We have cover everything with plastic, somebody says, Cassandra. Yeah, I can't believe everything we've gotten in. The firings from Hegseth, the Bondi bounce, what's going on in Iran, the breaking news with the F-15 fighter down, the demand for $1.5 trillion for the Department of Defense, all of that in today's show. We talked about Todd Blanchett's CPAC. We've gotten to a lot, Michael Snyder. You know how I do it? I'm powered by this Coachella Valley coffee, which is delicious.
So good. It truly is the best coffee in the known universe. It would be nice to pair it with a Sweet 106 cupcake,
Yeah.
but that's
That
apparently
hasn't
never
happened
going
for
to
you
happen.
yet. That is
Not as yet.
that's our logo on the backside.
So good.
But Coachella Valley coffee is curated for you, all organic, ethically sourced from women-owned farms. Great coffee is our mission, they say, our craft, our ambition. The Sunrise blend is delicious. The Eclipse blend is great. The Elgato is one of my favorites. Solstice I love. I think I've tried all of them. Ocotillo Espresso, the Guatemala honey processed. There are a few, and of course our Why Are You Yelling decaf, which
Why are
is
you yelling?
delicious. The Sumatra, the Clarity blends I love. These are just the coffees. They also have the teas and spices. Absolutely wonderful. Knock around on their site. There are descriptions and tasting profiles under everything. John Watson says, I tried Coachella Valley coffee this morning for the first time. It was pretty good. It's the best coffee I've ever tasted. And I've, as you might imagine, Culture Blaster, I've tasted coffee across the known world. The highest mountains, the Atlas Mountains above Morocco. I've had coffee. I've had coffee on the Champs-Élysées.
Me too.
I've had coffee in some of the finest dining establishments in New York and Los Angeles and San Francisco.
I've had Lavazza in Roma.
That's what I'm saying. In all of these places, I've sipped coffee, but this coffee is better than it all. There's the Clarity blend. I do love it, with the lion's mane added. All right, whatever you do, whatever you get, grab 10% off. Use our discount code MARKT at checkout and enjoy. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com, MARKT at checkout for 10% off. And enjoy.
The Mark Thompson Show.
He comes through on Fridays. He is a guy who knows music. He knows the obscure subtitled movie. He knows the Marvel universe, the DC universe. He's pretty amazing. All of that, and we love him. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, everybody, the Culture Blaster.
Yeah, Mark, I don't want to harp on it, but I do love that glissando. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the calendar says Good Friday, and I'd like to say it's a great Friday, but alas, the war rages on, and it's so bad, I think tonight I'm going to get bombed into the Stone Age on Jägermeister and edibles.
I get it, yeah.
Hey, when the Trumpanzee said that bombed into the Stone Age remark, only one brave voice was heard from Bedrock. He said, yabba dabba, don't do it. But, we know it's happening, and it's something we got to cope with. But we're in the middle of the Jewish holiday of Passover.
Oh, yeah.
And Easter is on Sunday. So in honor of this confluence of holidays, I'll be having a Peeps on Matzah sandwich for lunch today.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, I'm going to try to serve both.
Serve both goals, both holidays. Yeah.
But in any event, we should get down to movies and
we really should.
Various and sundries. Let's kick off with The Drama, which almost felt like a sneak attack. Pre-screening vibe I got from it was that I would be reviewing a star-driven romantic comedy with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. I thought, okay, and of course, there's a meet cute at the start of the film where their characters, museum director Charlie and bookstore clerk Emma, encounter one another in a Boston cafe. But, there's something a little stalkerish about how Charlie goes about it. And, it quickly becomes apparent that they've fallen in love and they happily move in with one another. All this is at the top of the movie. And then we fast forward to a couple years later and they are on the verge of marriage until a bout of inebriated truth-telling with their best friends Rachel and Mike, played by Alana Haim of the band Haim. She's a pretty good actress as well. And Mamadou Athie leads to a revelation that throws the Charlie-Emma relationship and the impending marriage into crisis. I have to say that if this is a rom-com, it is a very unconventional, dark-hued one. Director and screenwriter Christopher Borgli has forged a smart, sharp movie about the tenuous nature of romance And for that matter, the shaky bonds of friendship when one brief anecdote can upend what seem to be deep and unshakable connections. Ultimately, here the focus is on Charlie and Emma. And I gotta say, Pattinson and Zendaya do some of their best work here. And I will actually go further. I think this might be Zendaya's most impressive performance to date. And there are no punches pulled in the drama. And despite its interest in romance, there is nary a hint of saccharine. I will warn you, though, there is a little bit of strychnine, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean.
I mean, it's there's a poison afoot here. There's some issues, and it gets deeper and darker as it goes along. And yet it's still pretty funny. People will find it uncomfortable, I think, but I, on the other hand, rolled with the drama in all senses of the title. And by the way, the name might not be familiar, but Borgli is the maverick Norwegian auteur who made the audacious 2022 satirical comedy Sick of Myself, which people may or may not have seen, and the endlessly creative 2023 Nicolas Cage movie Dream Scenario that I loved and I highly recommend. This guy, Borgli, is a force. The movie is in theaters.
All right.
This weekend.
It's called The Drama.
It is indeed. Okay. From the sublime to the ridiculous, a sequel to the 2023 hit animated Nintendo video game adaptation, the Super Mario Brothers movie. The Super Mario Galaxy movie is a convoluted adventure that takes the familiar characters, bantering brothers and plucky plumbers, Mario and Luigi. Hey, they're a couple of Italian Americans, stereotypically from Brooklyn, and takes them on a galactic quest along with the adorable ruler of the Mushroom Kingdom, Princess Peach, to save the universe where the brothers now live. I mean, I guess rents in Brooklyn really are obscenely high. They've decided to stay in this netherworld for whatever reason. So the bratty son of the previously defeated despot from the first movie, Bowser, and from the video games, this kid is trying to outdo dad in the tyranny department and has kidnapped Peach's older sister, Princess Rosalini, all this stuff starts happening. Chris Pratt and Charlie Day are back to voice Mario and Luigi. Jack Black is back to blather as Bowser. And the slumming Anya Taylor-Joy, she's so good. What is she doing here? She returns to the role of Princess Peach, but the total effect is not so peachy. This is admittedly long on colorful visual dazzle, but it's chaotic, overstuffed, and short on establishing info about the characters. Matthew Fogel's script is clunky that way. Look, you didn't see the first movie, and I did. And I thought it was actually pretty decent for what it was. Yeah. And you have no familiarity with the games, and I don't. It will be lacking in plot clarity. And all the Easter eggs, speaking of Easter, all the Easter eggs will be kind of soft-boiled or scrambled, so to speak. By the way, Donkey Kong from the previous movie, not a factor here. So new names jumping into the Super Mario voice acting game include Brie Larson as Princess Rosalina, Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr., Glenn Powell voices a Top Gun-style starship pilot named Fox McCloud from Nintendo's Star Fox game series. And you got Donald Glover as this green dinosaur-like thing. But the totality of it was meh, despite the eye candy and all the nonstop action. Quick note, it was co-directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic for Universal's Illumination Studio, which makes all the Gru and Minions movies. So, of course, there had to be a Minions cameo, and that doesn't help.
Let me ask you a question, Culture Blaster, here, and then we got to...
You go.
My question is, you just described a movie, you say kind of overstuffed in its own way, but I just want to ask you about casting, because I know a lot of people in the world of voiceover and animation voiceover, et cetera, and you describe, this laundry list of big stars.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt, Charles Day, Jack Black,
Issa
Brie
Rae.
Larson, Benny Safdie, Glenn Powell, Donald Glover. What I'm getting to is, why do they cast all these people? Because they have their own followings and they'll do promotion for the film? I mean, there's no creative reason, is there?
No,
I'm not criticizing it. Maybe there is.
As a matter of fact, Pixar has always been sort of more judicious. They aren't so much into bringing in names.
Stunt casting, sort
although
of.
they do the stunt casting to an extent. But yeah, Luis Guzman, who I love, by the way, he was so good in Wednesday. He plays a small character named Wart. And again, as I said, Issa Rae is here. Again, a small character, the Honey Queen. There's a certain amount of cred the movie gets by having these names piled up in the cast list.
All right. Okay, go ahead. Moving on.
Okay, and now something like the drama that I can endorse wholeheartedly. Fantasy Life is a more conventional romantic comedy than the drama. And here, a neurotic, youngish, Jewish New York schlub named Sam is canned from his job as a paralegal and becomes smitten with a neurotic actress when he ends up babysitting her 3 daughters at the behest of his psychotherapist's wife, who is grandmother to the trio of girls. I hope you could follow that.
I didn't follow it. Okay. So he's smitten with the
Sam
actress.
is this kid Sam, who goes to a psychotherapist,
He's
is
a
dropped from his job. He
Okay,
gets dumped. And
smitten with the actress.
You're right. And
she's what?
And the psychotherapist's wife, who is also his receptionist, says to him, because she knows he's out of work, would you like to make a little spare change? I need someone to babysit my 3 granddaughters. And when he goes, he realizes the mother of the 3 kids is this actress that he's kind of always had a crush on.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of romantic tension developing there.
So it was his wife who suggested he go.
No, the psychiatrist's wife. This guy isn't married.
The psychiatrist, the wife. Okay.
Yeah, you know, have another sip of coffee, Mark. Maybe that'll help. Anyway, complications are inevitable when you factor in the feelings of the kids.
I'm sorry, Michael.
Their actual father, the other family members. I know this is not like geopolitics, Mark. I know it's not as simple to suss out.
I'm struggling. I'm
That's okay. So this is the first feature film to be written and directed by comedic actor Matthew Shure, who I've seen in a couple things. And Fantasy Life serves up some Woody Allen energy with the painfully anxious Sam, played by the filmmaker Matthew Shure, in appropriately hapless mode. Although Shure is like perfectly pathetic as this unmoored, recently unemployed Sam, the whole enterprise is truly enhanced by a bunch of superb veteran actors in the ensemble. This is a case when the casting is crucial. They bring in talented people that may be recognized, and it just makes the movie soar. Okay, so at the heart of it is a memorable and textured performance by Amanda Peet, who just does not work enough. She's great here.
She is great.
And she's the actress/mother Diane, whose career was put on hold by motherhood, and she longs to return to the limelight, even as her husband David, who's kind of a smug musician, hipster type, is frequently on the road. So David's touring schedule and Diane's depression over her aborted career lead this artsy, well-to-do family to
Who
hire...
plays David?
I'll get to that, but Alessandro Nivola, if you must know.
Okay.
And he's another top-notch actor. So they hire this cash-poor kid, Sam, on a full-time basis as the nanny, or Manny, if you prefer. He prefers au pair. And he's there to take care of the trio of kids when mom is depressed and dad is off playing with the band. So the needy Sam, with his mental health issues, cannot help falling for Diane, who has issues of her own, and a husband. So what plays out is this really compelling clash between Sam and some presumably educated and financially secure individuals with their own personal damage and idiosyncrasies, which seem to be reason enough for a reliance on therapy and pharmaceuticals. Everybody's in therapy. Everybody's taking stuff. So this is funny, but there is kind of pain in the angst that Shure dishes out. Pete's command of comedy and drama are given a hell of a showcase here, and she and Shure are more than ably supported by Nivola as the husband David. Are you ready? Judd Hirsch and Andrea Martin as David's parents.
Oh, that's really good.
Bob Balaban and Jessica Harper as Diane's parents.
Man.
And you also get Zosha Mamet, playwright David Mamet's kid, and Holland Taylor in cameos. Look, when a movie that's written, directed, and stars a relatively unknown guy is this good, the idea of labeling it a vanity project is ill-considered. I choose to laud this movie, Fantasy Life, is a worthy debut for a budding
Where is
filmmaker.
it playing, Culture Blaster?
Select theaters, my friend.
Okay, moving on.
I hope your theater is
Fantasy
selected.
Life is what it's called.
Yes,
Fantasy
it is.
Life.
I'm just going to go quickly into this, and a haphazard drama about a man who flies to Japan from his native New England after the death of his twin brother and intends to commit suicide when he gets there. Kind of a tough sell, I think. And Gaijin, the movie, is nowhere near the artful treasure of Rental Family, which was last year's very winning drama.
Love Rental Family. You must see it if you haven't. Rental Family. Yeah.
That's about an emotionally broken American man who moves to Japan to find his fate. Same thing here. This is just not as good. Certain aspects of both films may be similar. Gaijin is the less accomplished of the two. And speaking of twos, Gaijin is the work of twins, real twins, Mark and Michael Chamberlain. They co-wrote the screenplay. Mark directed it, and they played the twins in the movie with Mark as the late Ezekiel, whose spirit haunts and taunts the quick-to-anger Lewis, his brother, played by Michael. And Michael gets the dragon's share of screen time. When the ghostly Ezekiel bets his brother doesn't have the guts to keep living for a little while longer, Lewis postpones the suicide, finds a job as an English language teacher, falls for a Japanese woman with her own troubles, but can't seem to escape the anger within. For all the emotional pain and recriminations that Gaijin addresses, it's kind of understandable that Lewis would be strident in his behavior. And so Michael Chamberlain's performance can be off-putting, which makes the movie a tough watch. Still, look, when you make a movie and get it out there to the public, that's a big triumph. So kudos to them for making Gaijin and getting it released. It's definitely a labor of love, even if I labored to sympathize with the Lewis character.
Strident's a ding word. Very well. Moving on, and that's called Gaijin.
Yeah, it's direct-to-video on demand via the usual streaming services.
Wrap it up, Culture Blaster.
We get an email, somebody saying, we need more coverage of streaming television.
So cover it quickly, please.
I'll do what I can, Mark. Daredevil Born Again is on its second season, and it is so good. It does lean into the Marvel vigilante character of Daredevil, secretly blind Matt Murdock with enhanced senses. He's a lawyer, and he's been kind of beaten down by life and circumstances. His best friend, Foggy, is slain in the first season. His partner and their third in their law firm is also on board still, Karen Page, and the actors are so brilliantly cast in Daredevil. They remind me so much of the comic book characters, but they are real flesh and blood characters, beautifully portrayed by Charlie Cox. He plays Matt Murdock, Daredevil. And Eldon Henson, even though he's kind of a memory here, he does show up in flashback. He plays Foggy. And Deborah Ann Woll is Karen Page. And I got to tell you, it's crazy when a show like this gives an actor who has worked all of his life and done brilliant performances the best role of his career. And Vincent D'Onofrio as the crime boss, Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. the Kingpin, who has now been elevated to mayor in this current set of seasons of Daredevil. It's stunning.
Wow.
Beautiful, powerful, complex performance. He's clearly evil, but you understand why he is, and you feel a certain sense of pity as he goes through his machinations.
Do you need to have seen
the first season?
Yes.
You absolutely do. You don't need to have seen the Netflix series that preceded this.
Okay.
But yes, and both seasons are available on Disney Plus.
Daredevil Born Again is what that's called.
So
Vincent
good.
Love it.
One more quick note. You can read more about it at thevoicesf.org.
That's what I want to tell people. You can read
Francisco.
Michael. This is just a little thing he does on the side.
But I did a piece a week or so ago on Young Sherlock, which is a pretty damn good continuation of one of the public domain properties that people constantly lean on. There have been so many Sherlock projects over the past decade or so.
Sure.
Sherlock, the one with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman as Sherlock Holmes and Watson set in modern-day London. You've got Elementary, which is a weird adaptation with Johnny Lee Miller as Sherlock in New York, and Lucy Liu as a female Watson. And there's been something
And what's his name was in one, too?
Well, David Tulis plays Sherlock in Sherlock and Daughter.
What's his name? They did it. It was like an action film. Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
This is my point. Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law play Sherlock and Watson in those movies, directed by Guy Ritchie. This show is produced by Guy Ritchie and adapts a book series about Sherlock Holmes' early days. He's a teenager. He's becoming who he's going to be. He's played by Hero Fiennes Tiffin, who is Ralph Fiennes and Joseph Fiennes' nephew. And he's wonderful in this thing. The whole cast kicks butt. And you not only get them, you also get Joseph Fiennes plays his father, Silas Holmes, and there's obviously a family resemblance. Natasha McElhone plays Cordelia, his mom. And Colin Firth plays kind of a heavy in this thing, kind of an aristocratic prick. Guy Ritchie produced, but this is good stuff, man. Young Sherlock, which you can actually watch, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm seldom mistaken.
On Prime, you can watch it.
And there you go. There's your TV suggestions.
That is very impressive, Culture Blaster. I know there's more, and you can read the Culture Blaster on voice of SF.
TheVoiceSF.org.
TheVoiceSF.org, sorry. TheVoiceSF.org. Young Sherlock on Prime Video. He likes it a lot.
Yes.
Daredevil, Born Again, Series 2 with Vincent D'Onofrio. Michael feels maybe in one of his best roles ever, if not his best role ever.
His best role ever. And Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, a.k.a. Daredevil. They are twin towers.
Again, that's Daredevil, Born Again, Series 2.
On Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus. Guy Jin, Mark and Michael Chamberlain wrote, direct, and starred. And, bummed out guy moves to Japan, is what I got. And he didn't like it. He said, go see the other movie, which is Rental Family.
Rental Family. The Gaijin is, again, I'm glad they were able to do it.
Not awful, but he's saying Rental Family is really something special. That was the one from last year, and you can stream it now. Fantasy Life, about the neurotic paralegal Sam smitten with the actress whose kids he babysits.
You finally figured it out.
Superb veteran actors, Amanda Peet, her husband.
Played by Alessandra Nivola.
Judd Hirsch and Andrea Martin are in it too. He really liked this.
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy Life, it's called. It's in theaters. The Super Mario Galaxy movie with Mario and Luigi, the lovable main characters, Chris Pratt and Charlie Day and Jack Black voices some, and Brie Larson, Benny Safdie and Glenn Powell and Donald Glover, and it's not that great.
And what's Anya Taylor-Joy wasting her time doing that?
In theaters, the Super Mario movie. The drama is what he led off with, the Robert Pattinson Zendaya movie. Smart and sharp, he said, deals with issues of friendship, romance, and he feels, again, this is the second time in this series of reviews, the Culture Blaster has carved out this project as someone's most impressive performance, and he says Zendaya in the most impressive performance of her young career.
Right, we got a team Zendaya with Vincent D'Onofrio, and boy, sparks would fly.
The drama is in theaters. Wow, you've done a lot, Culture Blaster. I doubt we could ask you to do any more.
I do want to give a quick postscript to my Bay Area peeps, the nightlifers. There's going to be a celebration of my late pal Spencer Coppins this coming Saturday, April 4th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at his longtime workplace, the DNA Lounge, where he held court for over a decade as house manager and MC and style icon. I'm not going to be able to make it because I'm currently on the job here in LA, but I encourage his many friends and admirers to make the scene in his honor. That's tomorrow with the DNA in the afternoon.
Very worthy of your mention, sir. Yes, Michael Snyder, the voice of San Francisco, is where you can read his musings. He is a print and broadcast journalist, himself a screenwriter, brilliant writer, great takes, and we love our visits with you. Oh, great call. Look at all those different columns you have, all these different things that you weigh in on. It's not just entertainment, is it?
No, you can check out archive stuff from the Coastal Commuter, which really discusses my life between here and San Francisco, here being LA.
I never get tired of reading you. Michael Snyder, he comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Culture Blaster.
Happy Easter, happy Passover. Go Giants, go Warriors. See you next week.
Yeah, right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
I have to say it has been a productive show in a troubling week for so many reasons, but also let me say it has been so much fun to interact with our community and our audience here. I really do enjoy it. Maybe the thing that I most enjoy. It is a lot of work to put this show together, and the audience makes it worth it. So thanks everybody who has jumped on
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Everybody who's jumped on our membership, you can hit that star and you can become a member, or you can support us through PayPal and Patreon. Your names who support us on Patreon and PayPal updated every month, and you run at the end of every show. Your name appears on the scroll at the end of the show because you make every show happen. And so I am truly grateful. It allows us to pay the bills and to hire people and to get things done. You get it. I get it. I'll get to the comments now. And now the comments. America going the way of Trump University, airlines, steaks, vodka, Atlantic City casinos, and so much more, says Luis. Extinct projects and go figure under the same management. I hate to say it, but you're right. I said it in Trump 1. And this makes Trump 1, look like softball, doesn't it? Vilma Devlin, who is an OG of the show.
Big shout out.
Our military budget is going to grow so big and all without an audit. Where is the audit? All the U.S. citizens get is the bill. Again, Vilma, thank you for the $5 super chat. And of course, you're right. The unaudited, bloated Pentagon. It is a scandal. It is a collective shame. And it's an outrage to every American. And I truly share the obscenity that I view the Pentagon with and the Pentagon spending. And, the men and women who actually dedicate their lives to the military and actually serve in the military or dedicate even just a portion of their lives to the military, I have such mad respect for them. And in my judgment, it's an insult to them as well. It's just more grift. $1.5 trillion. Again, if you put it in half, it's still an obscenity. CC Ryder with a $5 super chat, and CC Ryder is also a member of the show.
Big shout out.
She is in the shadow cabinet, I think. And those defense contracts will go to, drumroll, MAGA friends and companies with Trump kids on the board. Well, of course, you've seen what's happened with the Trump kids and the drone company. We detailed it for you when that story first broke, revisited it a few times since it broke, and now we can reference it again. The Trumps never had anything to do with the drone company, right? But now they're on the board. You are so concerned, MAGA, about Joe Biden's son on the board of Burisma. Now you let the Trumps just run amok. They didn't have a drone company until 2 weeks before they got a huge military contract for drones. So they jump on the board of this fledgling company, just a new drone company. And then they get hundreds of millions of dollars worth of drone contracts from the U.S. government. Lucy McAllister, don't you bring it all,
Big
Lucy.
shout out.
She's got show membership and a super sticker for 20. Lucy McAllister may be single-handedly holding up the show with Dillette. Those two. Thank you, Richard Delamater.
Big shout out.
Prayer for Wes's husband. We love you, Wes. Kim, can you give me more on that?
Yeah, he's having some heart troubles, it looks like. So we're sending love to Florida.
Yeah,
for Wes and his
absolutely.
husband.
Wes is an OG.
Big shout out.
Yeah, and good luck on that to you both. Yeah. Harry Magnan says Trump's failure is simple. He's out of touch with reality. If he's destroyed so much of Iran's defenses, why isn't the Strait of Hormuz open? Of course, that's true. We've made that point repeatedly, and I think it's worth making again. I'm glad you did it. It's just, there's an absurdity to the whole thing. I don't know if he's disconnected or if he's just trying to blow sunshine. He's lived on kind of the con he's been able to create, the reality that he creates as a real estate investor, as a trademark guy, as a branding dude who's put his brand, the Trump brand, on a lot of other stuff, a lot of other projects. And I think he feels he can brand this. That's the most, in a way, charitable way to look at it. He can sort of bend the reality to what he states it as being. And you can't do that in real life. This isn't a real estate deal. This isn't selling some property. There is a reality here that is grim, that is very, very real. It involves other allied nations and other nations that are not allied with the United States. This is a mess. Wes in Florida says, imagine the reaction if the other pilot is not recovered and is taken by the Iranian military, or worse, has been killed. Yeah, thank you, Wes. And thoughts to you. And also, Wes is a, a member of the show. Big shout out. Big shout out. CC Ryder with a $5 super chat, and CC Ryder is also a member of the show. Yeah, thank you, Wes. And thoughts to you. And also, Wes is a, member of the show. Big shout out. Big shout out. CC Ryder with a $5 super chat, and CC Ryder is also a member of the show. Yeah, thank you, Wes. And thoughts to you. And also, Wes is a has a show membership. So thank you. Big shout out.
out.
You're right, of course.
There is a story today, one of the headlines I had on the way out, that authorities in Iran are offering a reward for the capture of the American crew. They say it's a priority to capture the other pilot who's still missing. So that's pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, indeed it is. So you have, another potential hostage situation.
Here's the other headline I have for you. Trump wants $152 million to rebuild Alcatraz as a state-of-the-art secure prison.
I mean, he just wakes up from these fever dreams and comes up with this crap.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I'm still happy Easter, everyone from Australia. Big shout out to our pal Glenn in Australia. Very, very cool.
Down
Good
under.
to hear from you. Down under. Just wanted to say thank you, says Cassandra Kapranica. I love that name, Cassandra Kapranica. Thank you.
Big shout out.
$5 super chat. Appreciate you, Cassandra. Very, very cool. And in our last few, quickly, some people think the Epstein files are the reason for Bondi's exit, but I think it's because she failed to successfully prosecute Trump's enemies. Yeah, you agree then with Michael Shure, who's sort of said the same thing. Thank you, Hilo Karen. Again, thanks for your membership, too. Hegseth is overlooking female and black people for promotions. I have a female family member who is a colonel, says Lucy McAllister. Wow. And thanks for your membership. Yeah, I think there's no question about that. There's just no question about it. And it's done in brutal ways, like, get your stuff and get out of here. Remember what he did to the head of the Coast Guard? Want you out of here by noon type thing. Michael Snyder will appreciate this. There are only 7 basic plots, says Genetic Assassin. There are only 7 basic plots, he says. Every other plot is merely a variation of one or more of the other original plots. People in cultural hegemonies live in mediated realities called the walling of awareness.
Okay.
Thoughts, Genetic Assassin? No.
You have the smartest listener base imaginable. Yeah, it's true. There are 7 basic plots, and one of them I think has to do with cute little plumbers traveling to another dimension. I've seen that used time and time again.
Oh, I love that. There are only 7 basic plots, everybody. I hope you find one that scratches your itch this weekend. Be careful with egg hunting. It is nesting season, says Tammy. Yeah, it's a good point. It's Easter weekend. Wow. Everybody behave this Easter weekend. We'll be here for you on Monday. And I think we've got some special guests next week as well, in addition to our normal cavalcade of stars. It'll be some special interviews and guests as well. Don't forget to join the Facebook page if you haven't. There are pictures of all of us. There's a shot of me and a former president and No King's Day. You'll enjoy that. And, of course, all our videos. And our Substack is launched as well. So we're trying to get things going in all the different ways we can. So have a great weekend. And now,
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Albert.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Out of time. See you tomorrow. Oh, wait. I mean Monday. Bye-bye.